Good guys, let's hope for a sick little PvZ here. I feel like the last PvZ series was fun, was good, but obviously was a little bit shorter than... I think Game 1 wasn't that great, Game 2 was fun, and then Game 3 of Bane Bust is never like the most oh my god sort of moment to be like amazed about, so hoping for something fun here in this PvZ as we go into more of the action. Bottom right hand side, our blue Zerg who just took down stats 2-1. This is Solar. Top left hand side, the red Protoss player from Gosu crew. This is Classic. Teammates with Dark at the moment. This team picked up a couple of players fairly recently as we see this probe coming forward, dropping down a gateway on the front of the natural expansion. And the probe heading down to the bottom right hand side at the moment. So probe heading to the bottom right, couple of drones on the way up, and the hatchery coming in on the natural expansion too. So getting that started up, as we'll see Classic obviously looking to scout. Runs straight through, sees the natural. And again, you can see it's a much earlier probe scout than what Stats was going for in his matches here. So that's, again, already kind of interesting, right? Just different scout timing. Stats was much later with the probe scout. Classic here kind of caused a little bit of disruption at the start, and that's why the drone pulls off, just attacks that probe, which is trying to mess with the worker stacking of the Zerg player on the mineral line. That drone, man, he's just not fast enough. He needs to go to the gym a little bit more, working that cardio. My probe just staying out of reach with that little bit of a head start it gets. And again, probe going to take a couple of nipples off of this drone, which is still going to try and chase the probe down. The probe pulling away. Third hatchery will drop in over to the right hand side, so Solar continue to expand here. Again, Cybernetics Core going to be finishing in just a few moments as well. Early game, PvZ. Not really a lot to shout about, but of course we're going to start seeing some tech choices which will give us a little bit more to discuss. Classic Cybercore finishing, and we'll start the Adept with Chrono Boost, probably a Warp Gate soon as well, but it's Stargate. That is just confirmation of this being a fairly regular build to get this going. So Stargate to begin with, and with the Stargate coming out, we'll obviously be able to go in towards the Phoenix or the Oracles. I mean, Stats didn't build a Phoenix in his games, so we'll see if Classic is going to do similar. Obviously, double Stargate Phoenix is a fairly popular style at the moment, so I'd be surprised if we didn't see any Phoenix at all. I mean, just because that is a possibility as well. Well, let's see what Classic's going to do here, as we do have the Stargate about to complete. He does just build Adept, so no Stalker. Means that he will not have the ability to kill this Overlord if he doesn't go for Phoenix, so generally will make this a Phoenix first here, and there it is. Phoenix starts up. Link speed. Going to finish up in a moment or two. Queen is ready to jump on and inject that hatchery as the Adept comes in, but nowhere near as aggressive as Stats was with his Adepts. Just checks, sees this creep here, knows the third base is definitely finished and so on, and so the Adept will end up backing away up to the top left-hand side. Adept just shading all the way back. As you do see that Phoenix is going to go and pick off this Overlord, so Overlord shut down here in the next moment or two. Nicely done as this Oracle on its way out of the main base as well. A few Zerglings of Solar going to be coming into play, and with those Lings coming across the map, we're going to be seeing a couple of assimilators added in on the natural expansion as well. So 2 assimilators added in, another gateway coming up here, it's about halfway done. Still got this Oracle from Classic now going to be heading out onto the map. So off and away goes that Oracle. The Phoenix moving along as well. The Twilight Council coming up. It's a very quick follow-up. So just one Oracle, one Phoenix, straight into the Twilight. With the Robo as well, I mean, expect that Temple Archives, expect the Archon drop as a follow-up here. I mean, it's super regular, super standard. Not really much of a surprise, honestly. As, oh, no, Glaives. Ooh, I like it. I guess with the Twilight coming in before the Robo, maybe it's a bit more obvious it's meant to be Glaives as well. Okay. That's pretty fun. I can get behind this. This looks cool. I like it so far. So Resonating Glaives on the way up as we see the lair has just now started. Phoenix and the Oracle coming over to the right side. And Phoenix will lift up the Queen as a couple of those drones already dropping. That's 3 workers picked off here. Sporkful again, another couple of shots off on the Oracle. and that Oracle will escape out to the top side of the map. The Adepts here from Classic continue to shade towards the upper left-hand side, and they are going to be moving in to just stay safe. And we already see the Immortals on the way up as well. Now this build, the idea is you get you have the glaives up, you apply a good bit of pressure, but then you follow up with Immortals and you get the Prism too, and you actually go into a very aggressive build with a big push. So there should be Resonating Glaives in the Adepts for now. But the next couple of warp ins off these gateways, if this is going to be the push, should be sentries. If it's not sentries, then we could very well see just a defensive third base being taken. I mean, he does start a forge. There's the Immortal coming up. And the third Nexus coming down. Again, a bit of a later third base than what we sometimes see in the PvZ. There's Adepts again shading through here. First Queen gets lifted up by the Phoenix. I mean, the other Queen gets picked off pretty quickly there. A few Lings going down. Shades to the third base where some Roaches are present. A couple of drones are already dropping from Solar, as we are going to be seeing some more of these Zerglings getting picked away at. Roaches dealing some good damage to those Adepts, as the Adepts will shade back in towards the natural expansion. There's so many units here, though, I feel. Not sure how I really feel about the shade back into the natural, because that's a lot of Adepts lost. And especially if you want to get aggressive, as two Adepts here will get another couple drones. I feel like especially if you want to go for an aggressive push, losing those Adepts really puts you into a tough spot, because all of a sudden, you don't actually have that main kind of portion of the army that you usually kind of have to kind of hold off the Lings. So, you don't have the kind of the tanky units, and you're spending your gateway warp-ins on sentries for force fields. Well, so let's start up a Spire, obviously knowing that this is Resonating Glaives. There's less likely to be sort of any sort of anti-air here really as well, because there's no Archons in play either. So Spire is a pretty great choice. Yes, there's a Stargate, sure. It was a Stargate opening, but still, it's not being used right now. And Classic has, because the Oracle and the Phoenix went down, the Phoenix went down, the Oracle's still around but staying defensive on the third base. Because he knows that, what are the chances of this Spire being scouted? I mean, maybe if Adept shade all the way up into the main, it's going to be fairly difficult to get done, especially when the Adepts have all died as well. So pretty much all of the different ways in which you can scout on this map, I feel have suddenly just disappeared for Classic. Like, I feel as though he's got no way to pick up the information that there's a Spire coming down. So Classic in the dark here. As we see the Evo Chamber dropping from Solar as well, just stacking up that money, ready for the Mutalisks to come in now. 8 meters on the way out. So 8 meters going to be coming in as we see a lot of Zerglings and Roaches heading towards the upper left-hand side. Sentries nibbling away at that Overseer, so Solar going to be pushed away towards the natural with the Overseer now. 9 Mutalisks continuing on out. We're going to be seeing the +1 attack upgrade, the missiles. That's going to be finishing in a few moments as well. As we still see these Immortals and Sentries, the Zealots too. I mean, it's a good little chunk of army, but obviously, with Mutas coming out, this could get real interesting. Oracle does fly through, Revelates, doesn't see much yet. We'll see the Mutas for the first time now, perhaps, as the Sentries will turn and picks one off. That's why the Mutas should never fly above Sentries. They might look fairly friendly, they're really not. So Muta going down already, I mean, well, again, just gives you a bit of a pre-warn about it coming in. There is a cannon here. It's not actually that many Mutas just yet, as Solo is building Lings and Roaches to try and deal with the follow-up. A few Stalkers warped in will run around and try and chase those Mutas down. Oh man, there's so many Lings, Roaches, and Ravagers here. Force fields are going to have to be really good to make this a good enough trade. A couple Corrosive Files already breaking up the force fields though, but there's so many Sentries, remember. Classic's built those up over a good portion of time here, which means that he's got so much energy on them, and then so many force fields available. Extra Zealots warping in. The Archons and Immortals are doing pretty good jobs, but needs those extra Zealots in front to keep those Immortals and Archons safe. I feel like the second Archon will go down in a moment or two as he still pushes towards the upper side. Those Roaches are melting to the 4 Immortals. Mutas over here have been picked away at as well, as Solar leaves them alone for a few moments, and the Stalkers actually have their way with them, so that goes very well. As a couple of Sentries there are surrounded. Nice little lift up micro as Extra Zealots still warping in here. Again, with only Roaches really remaining, these Immortals will still do very well, and Classic will continue to warp in extra units. More Zealots on the way out right now. I just don't think Solar has a way to hold on to this. Zealots charge in, that Roach Roaring will fall, and these Roaches keep on cleaning up those Zealots as well, as Immortals will keep pressing forwards. I mean, more Roach after Roach going down. Solar's reinforcements will not do anything here. A couple of Mutas that remain, I mean, they've got a lot of kills on them, 13 between the two, but they are not going to be able to keep doing that much. Stalkers continue to pick those off as well, and Solar is still trying to pull in drones to make this happen, and the Mutalisks do not work out. Classic takes game this started. We have got to the bottom left-hand side. The blue Zerg player who's now down a map. Don't think we've seen him be down a map today. Has always been in the lead of the series or getting tied up. Let's see what he can do to bounce back. Our blue Zerg is Solar from TSG. And at the top right, the red Protoss player from Gosu Crew is Classic. If you just joined us, guys, this is already winner bracket round of 4. So winner bracket semi-finals here, with winner bracket grand finals, qualifying match to come, as well as some action from the lower bracket as well, as we look to bring you guys as much StarCraft 2 as possible today in the Intel Extreme Masters qualifier. Blue Shift for the second map plays a little bit more aggressively usually than Kairos Junction, although it can definitely go. It's weird because it's almost like a smaller map, I feel, but can go in towards the later game more easily because you can actually swivel between the bases more easily. You can cover the pathways a bit more easily in PvZ. This map gets real interesting real quick a lot of the time. As we set up for this game number 2. Nexus dropping down on the natural as the Cybernetics core is going to get started here from Classic. So again, that Cyber core started. A few probes on the way out and probe on the top side. And he's going to be able to pick off an assimilator. Put down an assimilator. So assimilator going down right now as we see the hatchery on the top left side underway, and Solar sends a drone off towards it as well. He's got 400 minerals. Is he looking for another hatchery or? Okay, he was just waiting for his pool to finish. He's got 2 queens and 4 lings on the way up. But it isn't as fast of a third hatch as what we've been seeing him go for in other games. Obviously, that hatch forced to the top side has a couple of repercussions, such as drones taking a long time to get over there to mine. So this is already Classic, just slowing Solar down a little bit in the very early stages. Obviously, nothing hugely significant that we look at and be like, what on earth is Solar going to do? But, you know, it's definitely not Solar mining as much as he would usually be able to mine if that natural had come up fairly regularly on the natural expansion, for example. Adept here catches the first ling going in, and the second ling will take the first shot of damage from the Adept, and as the Shade comes after it, it will of course kill that Zergling off as well. But it gets up into the main, doesn't get to see the Stargate unfortunately, so this Overlord will hang around on the natural and be in the dark for a little while longer here, although sees the double Adept. And we'll see the double Adept moving across the map. So Classic may be hoping to deal some damage here, especially with the natural being just placed now, so the third base and the main being so far apart. Maybe it gives those Adepts with their mobility some good opportunities to outposition the units of the Zerg player. So that definitely raises a little bit of a possibility here. As you see a gateway dropping down on the front of the Warlock. Stargate getting an Oracle up, as you see the Phoenix is going to be able to get rid of the Overlord as well. So Overlord will go down, Solar will be supply blocked. And even this next Overlord will actually barely get him out of supply block with the hatchery coming up as well. So it's a messy couple moments from Solar there. The hatchery gives him the 6 supply to build a couple extra units. He does have another Overlord on the way. Castle dropping down in the back of the natural. Robot facility coming up in the natural as well as the 2 Oracle and the Phoenix coming forwards. Just going to see the Phoenix. And the lifting up that Queen then. A couple of drones go down. So a couple of drones picked off as the Phoenix will get a couple of shots on the Overlord. And again, the Queen's just going to be pushing that Phoenix and this Oracle away. So not really much done with the early Stargate units here from Classic. We'll once again follow up with the Resonating Claves. As you see, there's a death picking off again. Just a few more of those Zerglings at the moment. Depths continue to shade across here through the top side. lifts up the Queen in the natural expansion again, giving the Oracle another opportunity to deal some damage. Took a little while for the Oracle to start locking onto some drones, but gets there in the end, and another few workers going down. That Oracle, man, 6 kills, staying alive, not bad at all. We'll see if Classic this time around, he goes pretty much into the exact same setup as in game number 1. We'll see if he's a little bit more careful with these Adepts, because I really felt like he couldn't push like he maybe wanted to in that last round, because of the fact he didn't have the Adepts still alive. I do feel like a couple of the Adept shades turned out to be fairly reckless, with the 2 Adepts turning around and picking off a Zergling very quickly. Adept's going to shade in right on top of those Zerglings. I mean, Roach and Queen's coming up as well. Getting right up close and personal here as the Adept's going to continue fighting those Zerglings. A lot of Lings going down. Drones starting to drop down a little bit as well. And they are going to be jumping over and picking up another couple of drones too. The Adepts will go and hide away into towards the corner. We see the Adepts still trying to jump up into the main. But they will actually cancel and just stay behind the natural. I mean, what's the move? Try and shade out, recall out? Okay. I was going to say maybe like shade out straight through the center, but recall away keeps a good few Adepts alive. The third Nexus finishing. Yeah, and same as the last game. Probes on the way up, Forge coming down, and the setup feels pretty strong, honestly, from Classic to kind of just go into the next stage of all of this. Charge probably one of the next things on the agenda in terms of trying to set up into a little bit more of a, well, a real kind of viable follow-up, I suppose, for the later stages of the game. And the Temple Archives for the Archons obviously fairly important too. Bane Nest cancelled and builds a Hydrogen instead. So I think instead of the Baneley Nest and trying to play maybe Lingbane Hydra, he decides to play just Roach Hydra instead. So still a little unsure as to how he wants to try and approach this game number 2 right now, as the Phoenix here is going to be able to pick that Overseer off. That Overseer will go down. So Overseer killed. And we see another Immortal being chronoed, man. There's so many Immortals coming up. If Temple Archive is done, I wonder if we just see the same push again where Classic waits for a couple of Archons before he moves across the map. Hoping to see if he can maybe get something done now in the next little bit. Phoenix and the Oracle flying over in towards the natural expansion. Queen getting lifted up, a couple of drones taking some damage. We do see the Pneumatized Carapace from Solo as well, although that won't necessarily help him with a fight, but it may open up the chance to make some Dropper Lords. Has to be careful though, because it was trying to use those Dropper Lords in the game against Stats, which he ended up dropping a map in because he couldn't deal with the counter-attack at the same time. Temple Archives getting the Storm actually in the second Robo too. Looks like Classic. Well, I mean, he can still push aggressively, right? That's the thing. He still has a good army to attack with, but he's not fully committed to this. He has a big follow-up behind it. He's got a bunch, you know, a second Robo, for example, on the way up. That Storm upgrade coming through, the +1 attack on the Forge. And these upgrades are obviously going to really kind of follow through and kind of make the rest of the game a bit easier and better for him. And yeah, he decides not to attack as well. He just pulls back, just trying to fake out a couple of ideas right now. See a few Zerglings up on the top side is what Classic is maybe moving towards. And there is Storm about to be done for him, so he's going to have the Storms available to help him deal with the army. Classic still pulling down to the bottom side of the map. The Zergling patrolling around on the top. Now those Dropper Lords, like you mentioned, the Pneumatized Carapace will allow those to actually be effective. Believe it or not, trying to drop with slow Overlords is, well, as the Zerg, probably very infuriating, as the Protoss, probably very amusing, watching the slowest units of all time trying to drop. Obviously with Pneumatized Carapace they get that extra speed, and that helps out a whole bunch, as we are going to be seeing still though. Classic pushing down this bottom side. Solar has these units out of position, so you might want to bring them in. He could maybe surround with them if you drop them on the high ground. He's actually just going to unload them in the center of the map. Solar's just going to evacuate the 4th base. Has absolutely no answer to this. Wow. 4th base goes down, a Storm and a bunch of those drones. And the Immortals chunking away at a bunch of units as well. Pressing forwards, a Roach goes down, a couple more Force Fields. Hydra's in some trouble. Now the Hydra's coming into the flank though. They picked off those rocks on the middle ground so that they could actually move forwards into this position. High Templar, ooh, this High Templar lost his buddy just before they morphed into an Archon. But the fact of the matter is, Classic has way too good of a fight, and Solar is again just caught with no real answer